This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, let's start. Hope it's audible to everyone. Right. So yesterday we have started with the programming part, and we understood how to declare variables and how to display the values of the variables. So if I go to ABAP editor SE38, okay. So what is the program we developed? Z645 program 1. So in this particular program, we understood how to declare multiple variables by using this data keyword and the chain operator. Then we understood about the write statement, and we have seen some of the options, additions related to what write statement. And we also discussed how to declare the variable and what initialize by using this value keyword. Okay, and we understood how to declare array of what characters. Okay, so in continuation to this, yeah, let's see the other things. Yeah, so see here, so let us see how to read the input from the user. Okay, so if you take our C language, in case of C language, to read the input from the user, we use what scanf function. If you take C++, we use cin function. Okay, similarly in ABAP also, we have a statement, a keyword to read the input from the user. Okay, so let's say a very simple example. So my requirement is this is my ABAP program. So whenever I execute my ABAP program, okay, so on executing this ABAP program, so how do we execute? By pressing what? F8. Okay, so this is the ABAP program. On execution of this, okay, on execution, it has to generate me a interface. I mean to say a screen. Okay, it has to generate a screen where the user should able to input the values. So in SAP, wherever we give the input values, okay, that particular screen, we call it as what? Selection screen. As part of your report, wherever you provide the input values, that particular screen is called as what? Selection screen. So I need to generate the selection screen. So on executing my program, I should get a selection screen where I need to input some values, like this is something, enter first number, this is something, enter what second number. Okay, so like this I need to provide what? Some input values. And here what I want is, in this particular input fields, IO fields, some values has to be defaulted. Okay, so here by default I should get something 10, and here I should get something what? 20. Means the moment the selection screen is displayed, I need to show the default values. Okay, done. Then on executing this particular selection screen, I should display the sum of this particular two numbers. Okay, so on executing the selection screen, when I press F8 after providing the input values, on execution of the selection screen, I should get the result. Okay, so I should get the result as something, sum of two numbers is what? Something 30. Okay, so this output screen, wherever the result is displayed, we call it as what? List processing screen. Yesterday we have seen write statement. Write statement will display the what? Result on the list. That particular screen, that particular list is called as what? LPS, list processing screen. So understand, selection screen is like an input screen, and the list processing screen is nothing but what? Output screen, where the result is what? Displayed. So this is only for your simple understanding, but actual terminology is what? Selection screen and what? LPS, in the sense list processing screen. So this is your output screen, and in this particular selection screen, I want some validations to be performed. Okay, I want some validations. like so what are the validations here? both the input fields both the input fields what should be associated with what default values. Means the selection, the moment the selection screen is displayed, I should display some default values like 10 and what something 20. And the other validation is what both the input fields what should be what mandatory. Both the input fields should be mandatory, that is compulsory. The user has to provide the values for these two input fields. If the user doesn't provide the value, and if it tries to execute this, I should show some message kind of thing. Means it should not allow me to what execute. So these two are what compulsory fields, we call it as what mandate. Okay, so let's see how to do it. Very simple, but here agenda is we should know how to generate the selection screen and how to implement this particular rules, I mean to say validations. Okay, so let's see that. So where do we develop this executable program? As part of what ABAP editor. So as usual, from my initial screen, I'll use a transaction code SC38. Done. So since I want to develop the custom object, you have to start with what Z. I'll give the value as something Z's program object name as Z645 program 2, some name. Okay, create. Okay, so after providing the object name, what I have to do, I have to click on what create button. Okay, so I can click on create button, or I can press a function keyword F5. Both are what same, so I'll press F5. Done. Title, some title, some meaningful title. I'll give something read input values and validate something. Okay, type of object is what, as usual I have to choose what executable program. Done. Let me save it. Okay, I'll save it in the package. Okay, as we don't have any package, I'll save it in what local object, so that this object got stored in what $tmp. $tmp is the default package provided by SAP. So I'll click on local object. Done. So what is the initial requirement here? Whenever I execute my program, I should get a screen, nothing but what selection screen. Okay, so to generate the selection screen, yesterday we have seen what keywords. We have seen data keyword, and we have seen what write keyword. We understood that data keyword is used for what declaring what variables. What do you mean by variable? It is the one which can store the data, which can hold the data. And write statement is used for what displaying the what values of the variables. Displaying the values of the variables, or displaying the content on the screen, whatever you want to show to the user, that we can display by using what write statement. Similarly, we have something called as what parameters. Okay, parameters, you can assume this is similar to what scanf in C language. So this parameters, what is the purpose? This parameter statement, it generates what selection screen. It generates a selection screen for reading what user input. So if you want to read the user input, we need to generate the selection screen, and that is done by using what parameters statement. Okay, so both data as well as parameters is used for declaring the variables only, but this data statement doesn't generate any selection screen. But whereas parameter statement declares a variable and generates what selection screen. So it is used for what declaring the variables and generating what declaring variable and generates a selection screen for reading the user input. So here, how many values you want to read from the user? Two values. What kind of values you have to read? I want to read some integers. Okay, so already we know how to declare what integers. Okay, so instead of using data keyword, I will use what parameters keyword. Okay, so when I'm typing this, I'm getting the smart help. Okay, on the top you can see I'm getting the smart help. If you want to use it, just say tab. If you say tab, that will appear, or else you can type it completely. Okay, that parameters. So what is my requirement? I have to declare two variables of type what integer. So yesterday I declared the variables like x, y, z kind of thing. Here also I can declare what? Same thing. But generally, in most of the projects, parameter variable you will start with what? P underscore. As I told you in the initial classes, in every project we have to follow what? Coding standards. Before we start developing the object, we need to check what are the coding standards that need to be followed. So in the development process, the team will draft the coding standards. We need to follow that particular coding standards and develop the object. So in most of the projects, parameter variable you'll start with what? P underscore. Okay, I can give any name, doesn't matter, but I'm trying to follow what? Coding standards. So I'll say P underscore some name, I'll give it as x, type what? I. Okay, parameters p underscore x type I indicates what? Here integer. Similarly, I require what? Another variable. So also what? Parameters, let me give a variable name as p underscore y, what? Type what? I. Okay, p underscore x type I and p underscore y type I. Done. Right, so let me save it. Control S, then check for the syntax errors. Control F2. Done. Then we need to activate this. Control F3. Enter. So let me try to execute the program. Again, one important thing you have to understand here, don't try to develop the complete program and then execute. Do it part by part. So I declared two variables, I have done the syntax check, I'm able to activate. Let me try to execute this. Let us check whether these statements are generating anything. So when I execute, when I press F8, yeah, I got a screen where the user can input the values. This particular screen, we call it as what? Selection screen. So on executing my report, I mean to say the program, it is generating the selection screen. Okay, so as of now, let me go back. So here you can see I'm using parameter statement twice to declare what? Two variables. So yesterday we have seen we can use a chain operator if you are performing multiple operations by using a single keyword. We can use what? Chain operator with that particular statement. So here what I can do, instead of using it twice, let me comment. How do you comment at a time? Select the block of lines, okay, or at the beginning of the line you have to say what? Star, so that it will be what? Commented. Otherwise, what is the other way of commenting? If you want to comment it at a time, first select the lines, select the block of lines, hold the control key and press what? Less than symbol. Then it is commented. So what is my requirement now? I'll give a comment here. How do you comments? In between double quotes. After double quotes, whatever you write is considered what? Comment. So I'll say parameters, I'll use a chain operator p underscore x type I. Then I'll say what? P underscore y type I. Am I clear? So I declare two variables of type what? Integer. Okay, I declare two variables of integer. Done. Let me save, check it, activate this. So when I execute, I got the selection screen. Okay, so here who is going to use this particular selection screen? By the customer, by the end user. Okay, so always the screens should be what? User friendly, means by looking at the screen, the customer should able to understand, the user should able to understand what he needs to do in that particular screen. Okay, so always you have to keep customer in mind. We are not developing the objects for what? Our purpose. So the screen should be what? Meaningful here. So here what is displayed here? P underscore x and what? P underscore y. But what is my requirement? I have to show some meaningful text here, like enter first number and enter second number. Okay, so what I'll do for that is, suppose here I got p underscore x, means the variable name is displayed as it is on what? Selection screen. The variable name is displayed as it is on the selection screen. Suppose if I give abc here, I'll give abc. Let me save it, check, activate. What happened here? abc is displayed as it is. Am I clear? So whatever the variable name is there, that variable name is displayed as it is. Okay, suppose I'll give what here? The gensoft. Okay, so save it, check, no errors, done. When I execute, yes, I got what? Gensoft. Okay, let me try to give a gensoft technologies type I. When I try to do syntax check, save it, check it. Okay, I'm getting an error. What is the error I got? the parameter name Gensoft Technologies here can up to be what, 8 characters long. So it is saying that parameter variable name should not exceed what, more than 8 characters, should not exceed more than 8 characters. Okay, so here it is more than 8 characters. So let me say Gensoft something, yeah, I'll give something like this. So what I'm doing here again, I'm giving a space for the variable, right? So when I do syntax check, again I got the error. Specification T is what, not expected. Variable names cannot contain space. So if you want, you can give what, separator. Okay, I'm just giving the separator here. So when I do the syntax check, again I'm getting the same error. Can be up to what, 8 characters. So it is what, more than 8 characters. Even underscore is considered what, 1 character. Okay, so I'll say gen underscore soft. Okay, save it, check it, no errors, done. So when I execute, I got the what, gen underscore soft. So what I'm trying to show is parameter variable name should not exceed more than 8 characters, and the variable names cannot contain spaces, cannot contain spaces. If you want, you can give what, underscore as what, separator. You can give underscore as separator. Let me try to give hyphen, save it, check it. I'm getting a warning kind of thing. I'm getting in, not an error, I'm getting a warning. What is the warning I got? The hyphen character cannot appear in what, names. So again it is giving a warning saying that you should not use this special character what, hyphen. Understood? So when you develop any code, we have to ensure that we don't have any errors and what, warnings. Am I clear? So if it is giving warning means I can continue, but going forward I may get some issues with this particular variable name. Means this variable may not store the data. That's the reason, make sure that you'll have 0 errors and 0 warnings. So if you want to give any separator, give what, underscore. Okay, I'll try to give at the rate. Okay, so again I got a syntax error. What is that? The at the rate character cannot appear in what, name. So it doesn't allow the special characters. If you want, you can give what, underscore. Done. But instead of giving this a lengthy name, you will give a variable names in what, short form only. Okay, so I give like that, done. Right, I got like this. But what is my requirement? I have to show the meaningful text, like enter first number and enter second number. So what I have to do for this is very simple. So this is my program, okay, where where it contains some 2 parameter variables, and the program is in what, active state. It is in what, active state. So once you activate your object, what you do is, within the program, within the program, I need to provide selection text for these particular 2 parameter variables. Okay, this is nothing but what screen, selection screen. So in that selection screen, I have to provide the meaningful selection text. So how do you provide within the program after activating? When I can activate, when there are no syntax errors. Okay, so I'm able to activate now in the program itself. Okay, I'll choose the menu, go to, okay, go to text elements, selection text. Okay, go to text element, selection text. So I'll just choose this. Yeah, it is showing here selection text tab is highlighted. We have other things also that we'll understand going forward. So I'll choose what, selection text. In the selection text tab, it is showing me how many parameter variables, 2 parameter variables, p underscore x and p underscore y. Okay, so here it is giving the question mark. Just replace this placeholder, we call it as placeholder, and provide the text whatever you want. Okay, so let me give it as something, enter first number, some meaningful text, enter second number. So like this I can provide the meaningful text. So after providing my selection text, let me save the selection text. It is saved here. You can see they are inactive, so make sure that everything is in what, active state. So let me activate this. I'm able to activate my selection text. Go back to the program, back button F3. Right, in the program it remains p underscore x and p underscore y, but when they are generated on the selection screen, it will show what, selection text. Activate your program once again, execute this, F8. Now I got the meaningful text. Enter first number and enter second number. So always you have to keep customer in mind. Done. Okay, so hope it's clear up to this point. Any questions? Okay, so if there are no questions, done. So what is the next requirement? The moment the selection screen is displayed, I have to default some values here. Na? I have to default some 10 and 20 here. So yesterday we have seen, if you go back to my yesterday's object, I'll just go back. In the first example, let me display this. So we have used the data keyword. I declared the variable and I've initialized my variable by using what keyword? Value keyword. So this is nothing but declaring the variable and initializing the variable. If you want to provide any default value for a variable, we have used value keyword, value addition as part of a data statement. Okay. Similarly here also, okay, for this parameter also, I'll try to use value keyword, value or 10, value 10. So you can observe here, I got this in the red color, means there is some issue in this particular keyword. So when I try to do syntax check, I got an error. Check expected after value. It is not expecting the value. Means what I am trying to say here is, I cannot use keywords wherever I want. I cannot use additions wherever I want. Okay, this value is supported for what? Data keyword, not for what? Parameter statement. Okay, so what is our requirement now? Somehow I should able to provide the default values. So I need to use some addition related to what? Parameters. How do we know that addition? Yesterday we have seen we have to check the documentation. Okay, so I'll put the cursor in the parameter statement. Okay, I'll put the cursor and I'll press what? F1. Okay, so if you press F1, you'll get the documentation related to what? Parameter statement. So I'll say F1. Done. Okay, so parameters so and so, it is giving me the information related to what? Parameters. So related to parameters, there are many options here. Type options, it seems, screen options, value options, logical database options. Like this, we have many options related to this particular keyword called as parameters. So I don't know what to do now. Okay, I don't know where to check. So let me click on what? Type options. If I click on type options, there are three things related to that. Type, like, it seems, type and what? Like. Okay, so you need to go through this, you need to go through this and understand what exactly it is doing. Okay, so let me just go back. I'll say back here, previous document, right? So I'll click on screen options. Again, related to screen options, again we have many things here, obligatory, by these many things. So we have to click on each and every option, read this, refer to the syntax example, and then you need to understand. Okay, so it takes time. It is not readily available. You have to analyze it properly and use it. Okay, similarly, if I go to the value options, yeah, here you can see we have an addition called as a default. Let me check whether it is suitable for my requirement. I'll click on default. Yeah, what it is saying that this addition, this option defines a starting value for the content of the parameter so and so. The starting value can either be specified as a literal or as a predefined data object. So what is saying that this addition defines a start value for the content of the parameter variable. So let me close this or just minimize this. Am I clear? Let me close it for the time being. Done. So I by referring to the documentation, I understood that there are many additions. One of the addition is what? Default. So I'll try to use default here. Okay, default, I'll give something 10, and here also I'll say what? Default what? Something 20. Let me save it, check for the syntax, activate and execute. I got what? 10 and what? 20. So I'm able to default to the values. Okay, so I'm able to implement the first validation. Both the input field should be associated with what? Default values. What is the next validation here? Both the input field should be what? Mandatory. In the sense, okay, the selection screen is given to the user. Okay, he may or may not enter the values in this field. Suppose I will not enter this. I am keeping it blank. I am keeping it blank and I'll click on what? Execute button. Okay, I'll click on execute button. So what should happen? It should not allow me to execute. Okay, we have to give some meaningful message to the user to enter the input values. Am I clear? So as of now, nothing is happening. Nothing is happening, okay, because we have not written any further logic. So what is the next requirement? I have to make this as what mandatory. I'll come back to that later on. So now if I click on this execute button, I should perform the sum of these two numbers and display the result to the user. Okay, so I should perform the sum and store the result. So I require what? One more variable. I require one more variable. So we should decide whether you have to declare that variable by using data keyword or by using what parameters. When do we go for parameters? If you want to generate the selection screen and if you want the user to input the values, we'll go for declaring the variable using what parameters. Otherwise, we'll declare the variable by using what data keyword. So in this case, I require one more variable for storing the result. Okay, so for that variable, the input is not provided by the user. I'm going to use that variable only for storing the calculation. That's the reason I'm declaring it by using what data keyword. Okay, so I can give simply data z type I, data z type I. Okay, but again, better we follow the coding standards. Okay, so in some of the projects or in most of the projects, the normal variables are declared by using what v underscore. The normal variables are declared by using v underscore. So let me start with what v underscore. I'll give a variable name as something z. Understood? Parameter variable I'm starting with p underscore. Data variable I'm starting with v underscore. Okay, v underscore z. Type what kind of variable? Again integer. Done. Then I have to do the calculation. So I'll say v underscore z equal to, in what variables the input values are stored? P underscore x and p underscore y. So I'll say p underscore x plus p underscore y. Okay, done. Then what else? I got the I've done some calculation and stored that calculation inside which variable v underscore z. I should show this use input, show this result to the user. So how do we generate the output screen? By using what write statement. To display any content to the user, we have to use what write statement. Write statement will generate what list processing screen. So here I'll say write. Okay, right, I want to give the meaningful message. Okay, so what I'll do here, I'll say write in single quotes, because this is nothing but a string. Group of characters is called as what string. Okay, so in abap strings are always enclosed in what single quotes. Okay, so here I'll say sum of what something two numbers is, okay, close the string. Where is the result stored? Inside the variable v underscore z. How do we separate these two things? By using what comma. Comma will act as what separator. So I'll say v underscore z. And again we got some red color here. When I do syntax check, there is some syntax error. Comma without preceding colon after right statement. Already we have discussed yesterday. If you are performing multiple operations using a single keyword, I have to use what chain operator. So I'll use a chain operator. I want that in the fresh line, new line. So I'll say what slash. Slash indicates what new line. So when I execute this, right? So if you want, I can change these input values. Okay, I'll make this as something 33 and 20. Execute. I got the result. This screen is called what LPS, list processing screen. What is the result? I got sum of two numbers is 53. Sum of two numbers is 53. Okay, so suppose if I execute, I'll not give any value for the first variable. I'll click on execute. What happened? I got sum of two numbers is 20. Why? Because it has taken this value as 0. Yesterday we have seen by default numeric data types contains what 0. So in the first variable is of what type? It is of type what integer. By default integer contains what zeros. So even if I don't enter both the things, okay, I'll get what 0. So allowing me to what execute. But what is our requirement? These two fields should be made as what mandatory, should be made as compulsory. Okay, so how do we do it? Okay, again, so if I want to make any selection screen fields as mandatory, okay, as part of this parameters keyword only, again let me check the documentation. I'll put the cursor in the parameters, press what F1. Done. So again, I got many options. Let me go to what screen options. Right. So in this screen options, one of the option is what obligatory, means what mandatory, compulsory. When I click on this obligatory, what is that saying? This addition defines the input field of the parameter on the selection screen as a required field. This addition defines the input field of the parameter on the selection screen as a required field. As a required field. If no entry is made in this field, if no entry is made in this field, the user cannot use what? Execute function to exit the selection screen. Instead, the user can only use the functions back, exit, or what? Cancel. So it seems that I cannot use execute function if you're not entering the values for what? Obligatory fields. Okay. So let me use obligatory here. Already I used what? Default. I can use n number of options, n number of additions related to a statement. So here I'll say what? Obligatory. And this also I want to make it as mandatory. So I'll use what? Obligatory. So when I execute now, right? So suppose I'll remove this 10. So you can see here, I got a tick mark here, which indicates that it is a compulsory field, obligatory field, mandatory field. Now, if I try to execute this, yes, I got the message. What is the message I got? This is a message which is flashed by what? SAP itself. What is that? Fill in all the required entry fields. These are all what required fields, means that compulsory fields. Until and unless I enter the value, it will not allow me to what? Exit the selection screen. Okay, same thing here. Okay, compulsory I have to enter the value. So I got the result as what? 55. Any questions? Please ask me.
Sir, hello.
Yes, Sayed.
We have given the default value 10. How can we change the value?
Yeah, just remove it and type whatever
But
you
we
want.
have declared it now. We have declared it at 10
But
default value.
that is default. It is not fixed value. It is not fixed value. Whenever the screen is
Okay.
displayed, I want to show some initial value to the user. Okay, so that initial value
Okay.
can always be changed. Now sometimes what happens, the requirement would be I should not allow the user to change this value. It should be always what? 10. Means this field should
10.
be read only, means it should not allow me to edit the value. So that thing will come going forward. As of now, we don't know how to make this field as read only field. Am I clear? Okay, so here
Okay.
I can modify, but I can restrict that also. Any other doubts, others? Right. Okay. So we understood about the parameters keyword, and we understood about what default and what obligatory keyword. Done. Right. So let me just save it. Also, I'll do it later on. One second. Yeah. Now my next requirement is, see here. Uh, okay. So let me do it in the same program. Right. So what I'll do is I'll declare another variable. Let me say parameters. Okay, parameters. I'll say something. Parameter will generally start with what? P underscore. So I'll say P underscore some variable name. Let me give it as something str. Okay. Type what? String. Okay. String means what? Group of what? Characters. Collection of what? Characters. So let me execute this. Right. So how many parameters are used overall? Three parameters. I need not use it separately. I can declare it here also. Okay, the same parameters keyword I can say p underscore str type what? A string. Okay, so you'll get one more input field for entering what? Character values. Okay, so I got one more input field. Am I clear? So again, what is this? I got p underscore str. The same name is displayed. How do you provide meaningful one? Go to text element, selection text. After activating the program, go to text element, selection text. I'll enter something. Enter what? Enter a string. Okay, activate this. Done. So when I execute, done, I got it. Now here what I want to show is, I'll enter some string. Okay, I'll enter something, gensoft. Okay, I'll enter gensoft, right? I entered everything in what? Lowercase. I entered all the character values in lowercase. When I execute this, okay, I am not displaying that, so I am displaying the sum only. Let me display the value of this variable. So here only I'll say what? Entered string is, what is the variable name? P underscore what? str. So let me execute this. Right, I'm entering in what? Lowercase. I'll click on execute button. What I got entered string is gensoft. So you can see here everything I got in what? Uppercase. Okay. Let me go back here. See, I'll enter gensoft. Earlier, what I did directly, I clicked on execute button. I got in uppercase. Now let me press enter here. So when I press enter, it is converted to what? Uppercase. Okay. When I execute, I got into uppercase. So what I'm trying to show is, suppose here even if I enter Gensoft Technologies. So what I did here, G and T I entered in uppercase and the rest of the characters in but lowercase. Whether you press enter or don't press enter, it will be captured in what? Uppercase only. It is captured in uppercase. So when I click on execute button, I got what? Gensoft Technology. So what I mean to say is, whatever the character values you entered on the selection screen will always be captured in what? Uppercase. I repeat, the character values entered on the selection screen will always be captured in what? Uppercase. But what is my requirement now? If I enter in lowercase, I should what? Store it in lowercase. If I enter it in uppercase, I should store it in uppercase. Or if I enter it as a combination, I should be able to retain that particular combination. The default behavior is always it is captured in what? Uppercase. So what I'll do here, see, again let me put the cursor on parameters. So I want to know what is the addition, what is the option that can be used to control that. So I'll choose parameters here. I'll press what? F1. See, wantedly every time I'm pressing F1 to make you feel how to use this particular documentation. Documentation, using the documentation is very important for what? ABAP consultant. We cannot remember each and every option. Okay, even if you're having 15 years experience also, I cannot remember each and every keyword. Okay, you might be remembering the frequently used keywords, but ABAP is a vast thing. Okay, so always you have to rely on what? Documentation. So I'll put the cursor, press F1. So when I press F1, again we are getting many options here. Let me go to what? Screen option. So how do I know that directly I should go to screen option? It comes only by what? Practice and exposure. Okay, so I'll click on screen options. Okay, so here we have something obligatory already we have seen. Then we have no display, visible length as a checkbox, radio button as a list box. So by looking at this only, I understand that this is not related to my requirement. What is my requirement? The character values entered on my screen, I should be able to retain the case sensitive. If I enter in uppercase, I should store in uppercase only. If I enter it as a combination of both lower and upper, I should retain that particular case sensitivity. Okay, so this is not looking meaningful to me. So let me just go back. Then I'll click on value options. I'll click on value options. Okay, again here we have many things. We have default keyword. Already we have seen the purpose of default. Let me check what? Lowercase. We have the option here what? Lowercase. We don't have anything like uppercase here. But let me check what does this mean. Okay, I'll click on lowercase. What it is saying here? This addition prevents the content of what? Character like fields from being converted to what? Uppercase letters when the input field on the selection screen is transported to the data object in the program and vice versa. Am I clear? This addition prevents the content of character like fields from being converted to what? Uppercase. So just now we have seen, irrespective of whether you enter lowercase or uppercase, internally it is captured in what? Uppercase. So it is clearly saying this addition prevents the content of character fields from being converted to what? Uppercase letters. So what I'll do for this, I'll try to use what? Lower case. I'll try to use lowercase. Let me save it. Check for the syntax error. Activate. Right when I execute. Okay, I'll enter something what? Gensoft Technologies. So wantedly I did what? First character I entered in uppercase, and here also first character in uppercase. Rest of the characters in lowercase. So whether I press enter or don't press enter, when I click on execute, yes, it is retaining that particular format. Okay, in whatever case I entered, that case is retained. Suppose I'll enter something like this. Okay, so even if you press enter also, it is not converted to what? Uppercase. It will retain that particular format in whatever format you have entered. Okay, if I enter everything in lowercase, I'll get in what? Lowercase one. If I enter everything in uppercase, it will be captured in what? Uppercase one. It will retain the case sensitivity. So that is the purpose of what? Lowercase addition. Hope it's clear. Okay, similarly, this is my right statement here. When I execute, right, I got the content something like this. Now already yesterday we have seen the additions related to what? Right statement. What are the additions I used yesterday? Left justified, right justified, centered, something like that. Okay, similarly, let me put the cursor. I want to give some color for this. I want to give some color for this. So understood. So I want to give some color. So I'll put the cursor in the right statement. I'll press F1. Understood. So when you're developing the reports, you have to take care of what? Formatting also. Okay. I need to highlight something like that. So I press F1. I got the documentation. I'll double click on this. Done. Again, we have many options here. Okay. So anything related to color here. Okay. As I told you, it is not so easy to understand the documentation. It takes some time. Okay, I'll click on this internal formatting options. I'll just click on this. Yeah, actually we have used what? Left justified, centered, right justified, something like that. And we have many other options here. We have many other options. Okay, so by looking at this, I don't feel anything is related to what? Anything is related to what? Our color requirement. Okay, so I'll just go back. I'll click on external formatting options. Okay, so here you can see there is something about what? Color, it seems. Color. Okay, so what it is saying here, the meaning of the additions is the same for the statement format, with the difference that they only affect the output of the current write statement. If the additions are not specified, the standard settings described in format or the settings set by the previous format students are used. Okay, example, changes the background color for output of the data object. All the other outputs and spaces between the outputs are the background color that is set in the format so and so. Okay, so here write some so and so color they are using. Color. Okay, so did they give any other information about that? Color on or off, that's all. They didn't give much information on that. Okay, right. So yeah, you can see in the left hand side list using what? Colors. I'll just double click on this. Yeah, I got, there is some demo example given by what? SAP. Okay, so they are using some options here, format, color, etc, etc. Okay, so you can see color, and they are giving some color underscore total, it seems. Okay, any information here? Yeah, you can see you have to go through all these things. Okay, yeah. So now what I'll do is I'll try to use addition here. I'll say what? Color. Understood. For this v underscore z, I'll use what? Color. Let me say 9. Color 9 I am saying. Let's understand what is the meaning of 9. When I do syntax check, I got an error. What is that? color 9 is not expected, only 1 to 7 or the relevant color IDs are what allowed. So I cannot give whatever number I want, only between 1 to 7 it is allowed, it seems. Okay, so I'll give 3 here. Let me check what happens. Save, check it, no errors, activate this. When I execute, right, okay, I'll enter some value. Anyway, this is not mandatory, but still let me enter some value. I'll execute. Yeah, what I got, sum of two numbers is what, 30. I got the background color for that. I got the background color for only for what, the result variable. What is that? V underscore z. I want it for this also. So here I'll say before the comma I'll use color 3. You'll get what, same color. So when I execute, okay, I got the same color. Okay, let me use here color 7. Color 7 I'm using. Okay, so when I execute, I got different colors. So color IDs can be from what, 1 to 7. Okay, so since I use this color option for this one, this is reflected only to this variable. This is reflected what, this variable. Similarly here for this also, try to understand. Here I'll say color what, 4. Okay, here also I'll say what, color 4. Okay, then only I'll get what, same color for what, entire line. Entire line. So when I execute, what I got the color there. Entered string is what it is. I got some bluish color kind of thing. Okay, let me go for something 2. Okay, I got some light bluish color. Okay, I am looking for a better color. Okay, something like that. Okay, so I want the same color for the entire line. So what I did here, I used separately what, color option for that now. Instead of doing like this, understood, I want the same color for this string as well as for this variable. So instead of doing like this, let me comment. I'll say, or see what I'll do. I'll switch on the color. How do we switch on the color? We have an option called as format color what, 6. Format color 6. Then I'll say right. Let me just copy it. Right, entered string is, I'll not use any color here. Let's see what happens. Here also I'll not use any color. So what I'm doing here, I am switching on the color. I'm switching on the color and I'll close the color. So I'll say format what, color off. Format color off. So when I execute, let me give some default value for this also. I'll say default what, xyz something. Okay, so when I execute, I got the default value. Done. So what I got the same color for the entire line. So I'm switching on the color, I'm switching on the color and switching off the color. So whatever I write in between this, you'll get that particular color. Okay, so I'll say something end of color 6 something. Okay, some text I'm printing. Okay, whatever I keep in what, whatever I keep in single quotes will be printed as it is. Okay, so when I execute for this second line also, you'll get what, same color, because I'm switching on the color and switching off the color here. Since I'm switching off here, let me give another text here, like something what, end of what program. Okay, so since I switched off the color here, I'll not get the color for this line. Okay, when I execute, yeah, I didn't got any color for this. Understood? So if you want to assign same color for multiple lines, you have to switch on the color and you have to switch off the color. So for your understanding, this is nothing but what, switch on what, color code what, 6. Okay, and this is what, switch off the color. Make clear? So whatever I enclose between color on and color off, you'll get this. Okay, so if I want to know information on this, again I'll put the cursor on what, format statement. I'll press what, F1. Okay, so you can see here format color so and so, they give some information here. Understood? Lists and supported colors. I'll just click on this. Yeah, you can see they gave some information here. Okay, 6 is red, all this 6. Okay, color IDs are from 1 to 7, gray, blue, and so on. So, okay, lists and supported colors. Just go through all this thing, then you'll understand. Okay, hope it's clear. So when do we use this color kind of thing is when you're developing the reports. Reports will not this kind of things. Okay, when you pick the data, when you retrieve the data from database and display the data in what some summarized format, I need to highlight some information. So for highlighting certain information, you'll color them. Okay, for better look and feel, we'll go for this particular formatting options. Is it clear? Any questions? Okay, and here only let me just introduce to what system fields. I'll just give something what text here system fields. So far what I did here, I declared my own variables, some variables of type integer, some variables of type string. Okay, so in ABAP programming language, there are some system fields which are predefined. As the name itself suggests, system fields means those are the fields given by what? SAP itself. The values for this field will be assigned by what? SAP itself. So here I'll say, right, just observe here, right? I'll say something. Current date is, okay. I will use a system field called as sci datum. Sci datum. So all the system fields starts with what? Sy hyphen. We have many system fields. We have many system fields. Again, it is not possible to discuss all the system fields in a single stretch. As and when required, we'll discuss that. So, what is the system field I am trying to print? Sci datum. Let's understand what does it contain. So, when I execute, yeah, what I got? Current date is what? 17/7/2008. So this will return me, okay, sci datum will return me what? Application server date. What are the date configured in the application server, that will be written. Similarly here I'll say, right, for our information I'll say current time is sci UJIT. Like this we have many system fields. Okay, what does it contain? Application server time sci UJIT. So when I execute, what I got? 7:54. Actually, what is my local system time? 7:44, but it is showing me 7:54. So this sci datum and sci UJIT will not refer to the local system. This is my client machine. It will refer to the server, where the server software is installed. Nothing but what? Application server. Okay. Similarly, I'll say, right, current user. Okay, I logged into which user? SAP user. Na? I logged into which user? SAP user. So if you want to refer to the current user, I'll say what? Sci username. So this will show me what? The login user. So when I execute, what I got? Current user is what? SAP user. Understood? So like that, there are many system fields available. Similarly, I'll say, right, current program name is scirep id. Scirep id refers to what? Current program name. What is my current program name here? Z645 program 2. So when I execute, right, what is the current program name? Z645 program 2. Okay, similarly, like this we have hundreds of system fields. We'll be using most of them going forward. So right, I'll say something, current page number. Okay, some meaningful text. Current page number is also sci pag number. Sci pag number. So when I execute, what is the current page number it is showing? This page number is what? 1. Understood? So like this, we can refer to the system fields. All the system field starts with what? S5. And system field means the field is given by what? SAP itself. The value in that field will be assigned by what? SAP itself. So like that, we'll come across many system fields across many topics. As and when required, we'll cover most of the system fields. Any questions in this part? Done. So I'll wind off for today then. Tomorrow we'll see the other advanced options. So slowly we are entering into programming this thing. Okay. So don't be in a hurry. Initial 10, 12 days I'll go in very slow phase so that we'll be strong in what basic parts. Done. So I'll wind off. We'll continue tomorrow then. If you don't any questions. Chalo. Yeah.